Yes, I'm AP Miller, and I'm back on the second segment. As I was continuing on about the climate change and that as well, about the sulfur dioxide being added to the air, that was in the New Zealand Herald. You can find this on ecoliveryblog.wordpress.com. It's just to know that all that climate change thing is just to scare us, to say that oh, we need to pay money to Al Gore that to stop it, and to know that just to trying to stop 1 degree to go away, according to Crystal Law Martin, it say it will cost about 40% of world GDP, and that's the economy. It's always best that we do adapt to the conditions around us rather than just trying to stop it, because you know that there's always been climate change. The sun is the main driver. And yes, you always get sulfur dioxide being pumped in there. There's always a volcano eruption that always puts out a lot of sulfur in the air, and the clouds so thick that actually blocks out the sun. Especially if one of those super volcanoes that's going to erupt, like Yellowstone, because they'll say they will actually bring the temperature, well, bring the temperature down quite a bit, and which is a lot. And yes, it's just that it's something that we shouldn't even to be worrying about. And there's more things to worry about than just global warming, climate change, whatever you like to call it. It's, and there's more issues in that. And this article from New Zealand Herald says that oceans fill with enough plastic to line the world's beaches. And yes, that's actually a real issue, having plastics going into the ocean. And yes, even it does this break down the ocean, but the fish end up eating the particles, and it gets into their bodies and that dough. And the people who fish those fish that ate the plastic, who will be eating us? Us. And it does come back to you people when you start pouring all the plastic into the ocean. If we want a nice, good though, we actually should recycle our plastics as well, reuse it as well. Because it's not good to have them be thrown into the ocean. Well, and that's the real issue, people, though. And that's why I'm always covering on ecology, the real environmental issues, though. Not like global warming and climate change, that CO2 is a pollutant as well. That's not what we want to cover as well, because it's not what we should be worrying about. I think it's time for enough of those climate stuff as well. Let's just move on. And this here another one say water fresh issue for whitening debate. And this the Murray White to fresh water has been firmly on the agenda this week at Waitangi for both New Zealand Murray Council and the Iwi Leader Group. And yes, there's been issues about like air, water and that as well around the world as well, and some's being so dirty, if you do drink it, you have to get quite sick. Especially around in third world nations as well, and yes, we are in a crisis. And yes, about every 21 years, the water demand doubles. So it's quite serious for that though, and soon there'll just be war over water. So man, people, we need to really wake up. Yes, so And let's go on to this last article that I haven't covered yet. Fed holds hearing on whether they should regulate sites like drugs, InfoWars, and the Economical Collapse blog. They're sort of trying to censor those sites because they're the ones that are getting the truth out, people, man. You probably should actually start looking at those sites like drugs, InfoWars, and Economical Collapse blog, and also Eco blog.wordpress.com. You might should start looking at it and start watching my YouTube videos before the internet culture gets switched. Gets switched on. Before the Trans-Pacific Partnership gets implemented here in New Zealand, because that's all about regulating the internet as well, about killing the internet, because it's the internet that's what gets the news. That's why I'm able to do the show here today. So people need to really wake up and start protecting the right to freedom of speech and to keep the internet free as well, to make sure we still have the internet, because that's what gets the information out. That's why I'm able to cover those news. And now they've been trying to censor those sites for years, like InfoWars, drugs and that, because they know they're getting the truth out. And yes, people, you might have to start looking on Eco Liberty, start watching my shows, because man, once the internet's gone, it's gone. It's gone. So it's time that you gotta make a stand, people. Alright, that'll be it for the news now. And now I'm speaking about the poisons that have been added to our food as well. And yes, I had bought a book that's called Chemical Maze, and that was from a health store. I went to a nearby health store over in Whangarei, and I brought this, the Chemical Maze, and it shows you what's really in your food and what all those additives really are. But sometimes you might have to do more research about it as well. And me, I'm only just going to be basically covering about the few main poisons as well, which is fluoride, aspartame, MSG, which that's monosodium glutamate. Well, let's get to it now, and let's look at the aspartame side effects. And this, according to the FDA, they have managed to list of 92 aspartame-related symptoms, that's including bloating, chest pain, depression, fatigue, headaches, insomnia, and poor memory, and also weight gain as well. And there's a lot more as well, and sometimes it can even, if you too much consuming aspartame while you're pregnant, there's a likely chance that you're actually going to get birth defects as well. Yes, it's likely you're going to get birth defects, and you could probably even get a miscarriage as well. So it's something you should have that in mind. Yeah, because aspartame is actually a fecal matter. It's actually genetically modified E. coli. And where did E. coli come from? You probably don't really want to know about that, but it's from our feces, animals' feces and that, E. coli. And they gently modify it. And when it does enter in our body, it breaks down to folic acid, formaldehyde. There's another word I can't even pronounce. It's actually a brain tumor agent. And formaldehyde is an ingredient for inflamed fluid. And folic acid is used as pesticide. And we know how bad pesticide really is, and we know how genetically modified organisms really is. And yet, an aspartame was the first genetically modified organism. You can look that up. You can either Google it, either on Start page as well, if you want to keep things private. Which I do have a link on the widget bar on Eco Liberty. It's just there's all those chemicals that they're always hard to pronounce. And I'm not going to try to say it as well. And the fact that 320 aspartame fed rats developed 6 tumors in 76 weeks indicated that to know that it's actually bad for us people. The aspartame is bad for us, and it's also got another upgraded version of aspartame, neotane, and which has probably will be about the same effect as well. Which that's probably about 13,000 times sweeter than sugar, and aspartame is only about 200 times sweeter than sugar. And they're all in your diet drinks, and some actually in vitamins like Barocas as well. And there's also in Lensip, and which you should take when you get the cold and flu, which that probably make you even more sick of course, because all the aspartame is added to it. And people, if you think drinking some diet drinks is healthy, it's not, because it's got aspartame in it as well. And it's also in chewing gum as well. Chewing gum. Yeah, cause one time, a long time ago when I tried one of chewing gum, and I just felt crook from chewing one of those. I just felt like I felt nauseated. And that's probably in the list as well. And I'll probably might go back to it as well. Yeah, can't think straight is one of them. Burning eyes and throat, breathing difficulties. And brain cancer, man, that's just over the top, man. Although it doesn't contain it, but I just still feel crook as well. And seizures, man, boy, man, you actually likely to get epilepsy as well, and boy, and you also more likely to get Parkinson's disease and also diabetes and leukemia as well, and depression. Well, that's the time already. Well, I probably will continue on to the next segment. Over and out.